You got knocked the out.
Hello, my name is 1T, and in this series, I want to take time to appreciate action movies, specifically hand-to-hand combat. Nowadays, these big budget movies are always trying to outdo the other with crazy CGI and big stunts. So the use of quick camera cuts get put into the fight scenes to make them look more exciting when they don't have time to focus on the fighting. So I just want to show love to the originators and the ones that are still holding it down during these times, which are these hands. This series appreciates the movies that has a huge focus on fight choreography.
And the next movie I want to talk about is Ip Man 4. The movie begins with Ip Man being a proud master as he watches Bruce Lee do his thing. This would be an even more joyous occasion if it was not for the fact that he just found out that he had head and neck cancer a month ago. But you can just tell by looking at him that a part of him is simply ready to see the love of his life again. Right after that news, an unknown person walks into Master Ip's class, making a terrible first impression to the students there. The language barrier made it impossible for the students to understand that he came in peace, so the unknown character ends up doing a light sparring session with one of the students, until Master Ip arrives. We now find out that he is one of Bruce Lee's students, Billy, who came all the way from the US to invite Master Ip to the karate tournament he is participating in. Master Ip just found out about his condition, so he really isn't thinking about that right now. Billy still slides the tickets to one of his students so that he can still at least think about it. Remember Ip Man's son who was just about them hands? Yeah, some things don't change. This was the last straw for the school, however, so Shang gets expelled. You can tell that throughout some time there has been some conflict between Ip Man and his son. Later that night, Bob, the policeman from the previous movie, comes to greet and exchange words with Ip Man. Ip Man wants Bob to watch over Shang while he flies to the States to find him a good school. Shang, on the other hand, doesn't want to go and snaps on his father to the point where he goes too far. That doesn't deter Ip Man from finding a school for his son, so he leaves from China to venture to new territory. Ip Man is then greeted by the journalist from the previous Ip Man movie, who was sent to the States by his company. From there, he takes Ip Man to the chairman, Wan, of the CBA, which is the Chinese Benevolent Association, so that he can get a recommendation letter for his son. Ip Man is then introduced to the replica of his hometown, where he sees the slight changes that reminds him that he's still in a foreign territory. When he arrives at the CBA, he sees his old friend Master Law, who greets him with a warm welcome. The other masters, however, are a little more defensive for a regular greeting. In a twist to reveal the first racial issue of the movie, Chairman Wan wants Ip Man to stop Bruce Lee from teaching Kung Fu to foreigners before signing requests for his own son. You see, the history that the American Chinese people have there wasn't the greatest overall, so they have their personal beefs that they are spilling onto Ip Man. Ip Man obviously sides with his student, seeing the unity that it can bring, but Wan is not open for that type of cultural relationship. Ip Man leaves with no papers to show for it. Later that night, we see Ip Man trying to get in contact with his son, but his son is still reluctant to pick up the phone. Wan's daughter is late arriving to practice with the father. Here we get more in depth with the racial issues in this movie, as Wan's daughter prefers cheerleading over martial arts and has adopted more into the American culture than her father, who you can see wants to keep traditions as pure as possible. There's more depth than just Wan's issue, however. When Mr. Luang takes Ip Man to his boss's associates for a recommendation, he reveals his distrust for Chinese people and how he wouldn't even speak to him if it wasn't for his boss. This introduces Ip Man firsthand to how difficult it can get in America. Later that night, we get into the first scene of the movie where Ip Man watches Bruce Lee do his thing. Bruce Lee sees Master Ip and is ecstatic to say the least. Although some are skeptical of his next move, Bruce Lee performs his signature 6-inch punch, and the actor does a pretty decent job replicating the movements down to the starting momentum from your feet. Later that night, Master Ip and Bruce Lee catch up when Ip Man reveals he is looking to get a recommendation for his son. Bruce Lee then reveals one of his students is a lawyer and may be able to help him out. As Ip Man is celebrating the good news and getting to know Bruce Lee's students, a few karate martial artists barges in, claiming superiority. Lee and his people are more than happy to deliver these hands, so they tell Master Ip to relax while they take care of it. Lee's real hungry today, so he orders a 3-piece to start things off. Before the first opponent could even raise his left leg off the ground, Bruce Lee ends the match in 3 kicks. Then another opponent shows up like a video game boss to challenge Bruce Lee.
The girl won't fight back, but I will.
Lee starts off by getting a feel for his opponent. Then Lee becomes the epitome of a countering machine. Lee is able to read his body language so well that it looks like as if Lee is in slow motion. Lee then gets on the offensive to display his superior fighting IQ. Love this feint, by the way. The opponent then starts round 2 with nunchucks to spice things up. But we're talking about the man who used nunchucks to play ping pong. So he's able to see them coming in slow motion once again, and is able to not only grab them, but he's also able to use a 6-inch punch he just performed. At this point, he's just showing off. The opponent then admits defeat and humbly respects Bruce Lee and his teachings. I love that even with all this historical tension, this was just about hands and nothing else. The next day, Master Ip heads to the school to deliver the requirements for his son. Meanwhile, a cheerleading tryout was happening and Yona was able to become one of the head cheerleaders, and a young Karen over here was against the whole idea. We switch back to Ip Man finally meeting with the principal, but unfortunately the lawyer's recommendation doesn't hold enough leverage and he still needs a recommendation from the CBA. As Yona was leaving school, little Miss Karen and her male entourage corners her and starts to bully her. Managing to cut her hair, they even try to break her arm.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
But Ip Man was watching and has had enough of this. He damages his arm trying to save her, but these are high schoolers, so he barely even needs one arm. After the bullies run away, Ip Man takes Yona home. That's when he learns that she is the daughter of Juan and the history behind his animosity towards the non-Chinese people, dating back to the treatment he and his father were treated while working on the railroads. Ip Man and Yona reach her home and she tries to convince her father to write the letter. He is more concerned about the fight she got into not using her tolerance. Ip Man doesn't understand his frustrations, so Juan breaks it down and how it's a constant fight just to stay around. Reminiscent of Master Hume, they exchange ideologies, until Juan rather exchange these hands. The fight starts and Master Juan immediately goes for the body and leg shots. Those fail, but he was able to land a good counter on Master Ip, waking him up. Man, the Ip Man series hates tables. I am a fan of this dance battle for leverage we are seeing, and Master Juan actually gets the better of Ip Man, sending him flying back into round 2. Ip Man already adapted and remembered the notes from the first round and prepared counters for Juan's low hits. That's when Juan notices Master Ip's injury and reacts like a real one, I'm not even gonna lie. Master Juan puts one hand behind his back to even the odds, and they get right back to it. Ip Man's use of the 6-inch punch gains him the momentum. That get up from Master Ip was too clean. Their dance was getting so intense that Mother Nature herself had to step in. After the earthquake, Juan finds his daughter and tells Ip Man that they can finish this later. And after Ip Man says his final piece, he leaves. The next day, Bruce Lee's student Hartman brings a Wing Chun stand to the army base to demonstrate Wing Chun. Here is where we meet the drill sergeant Barton, who we can deem in the probably racist category.
Oh, it's hurting you, is it? I'm not racist. See, I don't hate you because you're colored. I hate you because you're a cowardly color.
Okay, let's promote him. He sees Hartman and is immediately not fucking with the dummy stand or Wing Chun.
Outstanding, Staff Sergeant. You're a goddamn genius. Get this thing off my face now.
Nothing of Chinese Kung Fu.
Pow.
Those words didn't sit well, and now he has to face Karate Master Colin to back up his claim. This was a mistake from the start though, because he just got played. By admitting he's only been training for months, Barton sends a black belt who needs at least 4 years of training after him and of course dominates Hartman. That much skill over your opponent results in a domination 9 times out of 10. To celebrate Colin's victory, not only does Hartman and his countrymen have to run extra miles, but they burn his Wing Chun stand as well. Moving on, Ip Man is visited by Yona, and she comes over to gift Ip Man with a recommendation letter. Ip Man immediately notices that she forged her father's signature, so he tosses it away and tries to teach her a lesson. But that got Uno reversed when he realized how his own son feels through her.
我喜欢啦啦队，喜欢跳舞，又是我错，我什么都错，他根本就不支持我。
He uses that self-lesson to offer a better solution for Yona and sends her on her way. While all this was happening, Becky, the snotty teenager, has fake cried victim to her parents. Her father works for the INS and now he's planning to get rid of Juan and the entire CBA. Hartman is persistent in adapting Wing Chun, so he goes above his drill sergeant to introduce Wing Chun, which was favored so well that he was given permission to do film study at the upcoming Chinese festival. That's when Barton comes in hating, but he gets nowhere. He then goes to Colin to cry about it, then tells him to interrupt the Chinese festival. The festival begins, but Master Juan is running late finishing up some paperwork. Just when he's wrapping up, Becky's dad and the INS shows up and arrests Juan over false claims. At the same time, Colin interrupts the festival and challenges all masters to come get this smoke. Law steps up to the plate, but he must be rusty as hell as Colin makes easy work of him. The next master who stepped up was also weak as hell. His punches meant nothing, and it didn't take long for him to get overpowered. The next one does the best so far. She not only keeps up and holds her own, but she utilizes her entire body to make her strike stronger. Colin was still too strong, however, and starts dominating. This is when Master Ip has once again had enough and steps in last minute, One Punch Man style. Cullen throws a flying kick, but Ip Man Uno reverses that and has him flying back. No games. Ip Man's signature counters and flurries of fists wakes Cullen up to let him know playtime is over. Master Ip reads a right kick, takes the soul away from his left leg, plays patty cake with Buddy's rib cage, then turns his head to a bobblehead. Just look at him, thinking about what he's done and regretting it. He gets some momentum, but it went nowhere, and Master Ip continues his ass whooping. Everyone celebrates Master Ip putting Cullen in the dirt, including Yona, but the celebration is cut short once she hears the news about her father, who is being set up right now so that the entire CBA will go down. Barton saw what happened to Cullen and seeks revenge. Ip Man and Yona arrive in the immigration building and runs into Billy, who's a part of the INS. He warns them about the raid and then is forced to head out. They call the CBA to warn them to leave when Barton shows up and starts wrecking shop on everyone. Ip Man shows up in time to at least get everyone out before immigration shows up. That's when Barton, at the same time, heads to immigration to release Juan. He pretty much bitches the officer, and that's not allowed, right? I'm not a hierarchy connoisseur, but I feel like his status shouldn't mean shit here. He should be in jail, right? Am I tripping? But he gets away with it and is allowed to take Juan out for a final showdown. Juan also saves his daughter's dignity before he leaves as well. He is not giving them satisfaction of feeling superior. Barton makes his entire platoon watch the final showdown between himself and Juan. The match begins and Juan lets him know immediately that there's levels to this. Barton follows with a leap and right that also went nowhere. When it comes to literal hands, Juan shows superiority, but Barton holds the advantage in his legs. He has stronger kicks, which eventually starts breaking Juan down. It breaks him down enough for Barton to land two strong lefts. Juan is able to get back up, but Barton continues his assault, now including high knees. Juan fought a good fight, but the drill sergeant was able to secure the victory. Bruce Lee and Master Ip are taking care of the rest of the CBA when Hartman calls about what happened to Master Juan. Master Ip watches Yona cater to her father in the hospital. This finally gives him the motivation to tell the news to his family. Once his son realizes the truth, he immediately runs to the phone for a long-awaited moment of forgiveness on both sides. Now that Ip Man was able to get that burden off his chest, there's one more thing he needs to let off: these hands. Master Ip heads straight to the lion's den and sizes Barton down, just waiting for a puff of that smoke. Barton, already cocky, having rolled up a few masters before, immediately accepts. Barton starts testing Master Ip. While fruitless at first, Barton caught a rhythm and was able to start switching the momentum. Now things are a little more evened out as they get ready to start round 2. Barton did just enough to notice the bruise Master Ip still has. So Barton takes full advantage and drops bombs of leg kicks to Master Ip. Barton starts talking cash money when Master Ip gets up and is like, "Stop talking, you still owe me these hands." Barton goes for the injured arm and Master Ip is like, "Fuck it, I'm here to win." Hey, to my old folks. Y'all remember back in the day when somebody mama chopped their kid in the throat? Barton drops and Ip Man is the victor. Join that nigga down. This is Master Ip's final cinematic hurrah as people from all over cheer him on. Master Ip heads back to his son, who immediately has a change of heart on how to interact with his old man. The conversation is now more peaceful, and as a father, he's going to make sure his son does right with the decisions he makes. We end the movie with a flashback of Ip Man's life. Leading to Bruce Lee giving his final respects. This was a solid ending to the Donnie Yen Ip Man legacy. The conversation about racism was written the best here out of all 5 movies, and the choreography went back to the one-on-ones. The touch of Bruce Lee was enough and the ending felt satisfying. I enjoyed this series. Y'all, please watch the whole thing. The next movie I want to talk about is Romeo Must Die. Like if you like the video, subscribe if you like the content. Until next time, y'all be easy.